Given our limited staff capacity, we rely on folks like you to document pollution to our team so we can efficiently and effectively investigate the issue and, if necessary, take action. There is legal and illegal pollution taking place every day within the Coosa River Basin, some more obvious than others. This video will explain the types of pollution, how to document the issue, and ways you can support our team in holding polluters accountable. First, let's talk about the two common types of pollution: point source and non-point source pollution. Point source pollution is defined as a single, identifiable source of pollution from which pollutants are discharged like a pipe into a nearby stream. It is easy to identify because you can literally point at the issue and know where it's coming from. Non-point source pollution is a source of pollution that is hard to identify by one source, as the issues may be widely distributed or pervasive, such as livestock, fertilizers, or sedimentation. Non-point source pollution is harder to identify and harder to address. There are many issues that impact the Coosa River, its lakes, and creeks. We're going to dive into some of the major issues that you may encounter when you're on the water or on the road. We will explain each issue individually, show you examples, and the cumulative effects of the pollution. Sedimentation. Did you know that sediment is one of the leading causes of water pollution in Alabama, the river state? What is it? Sediment pollution occurs when water carries sediment through runoff downstream. This can be caused by construction sites, clear cuts of timberland, and non-point source issues like undercut stream banks. Why is it bad? Sediment deposits alter river flow and depth over time. Sediment in murky water clogs fish gills and negatively impacts benthic critters. Additionally, sediment can carry harmful pathogens and nutrients that can cause algal blooms. Construction stormwater. What is it and why is it bad? When it rains, stormwater washes over loose soil on construction sites throughout the watershed. As stormwater flows over the site, it can pick up additional sediment, debris, and chemicals from that loose soil and transport them to a nearby storm sewer system or directly into our waterways. That sediment muddies the water, which harms wildlife, and eventually settles out of the water and onto the bottom of the river, which negatively impacts both wildlife and recreation. In addition to sediment, the sheer volume of water that crashes into streams from uncontrolled construction sites causes erosion and flooding, sometimes overtopping roads, filling private and public lakes, and damaging private property. Litter. What is it and why is it bad? Littering is the improper disposal of waste products. While it can happen by mistake, as in an unsecured object flying out of your truck, litter continues to be largely a deliberate act, especially in areas without access to proper sanitation. Whether it happens intentionally or unintentionally, littering has environmental consequences including hazards to wildlife, leaching of harmful chemicals, and an eyesore for your community or day on the river. Wastewater. What is it? Sewage can enter the river in many ways, from wastewater treatment plants, spreading of biosolid or septage, runoff from livestock operations, illegal sewer hookups, failing septic systems, and illegal dumping from vessels. Regardless of how it enters the river, pathogens and sewage can make the water unsafe and unenjoyable for recreation. Why is it bad? Swimming, boating, and other water contact activities in fecal contaminated streams and rivers can result in a variety of illnesses, from minor skin and ear infections to serious illnesses. Sanitary sewer overflows, or SSOs, often happen after rain events. If you see manholes overflowing, smell any foul odors, or see any pipes discharging untreated sewage, please report pollution to Coosa Riverkeeper or to the Alabama Department of Environmental Management at 334-274-4200. Nutrients. What is it? Just like you and me, nutrients are essential for water bodies to be healthy and sustain life. Nutrients are simply substances that help organisms grow and thrive. Nutrients and minerals being loaded into a water body are natural and expected in moderation. However, when too many nutrients are added to a water body, it can become an issue impacting water quality as algae and aquatic weeds grow too excessively. In freshwater systems such as the Coosa, the primary nutrients to keep an eye on are phosphorus and nitrogen. Nutrients can enter our waterways from point sources like wastewater discharges from industry, concentrated animal feeding operations or CAFOs, and wastewater treatment plants. It can also come from non-point sources like stormwater runoff, landscaping and clearing land, and agricultural non-point sources. Algae blooms are an overgrowth of algae and associated organisms caused by excess nutrients in a waterway. Some blooms can produce dangerous toxins, but even non-toxic algal blooms can be detrimental to fishery health, water quality, and the local tourism economy. When an algae bloom grows out of control and produces toxic or harmful effects on people, fish, shellfish, marine mammals, or marine birds, it becomes a harmful algal bloom, HAB, like the red tide. In freshwater ecosystems like the Coosa, cyanobacteria, or blue-green algae, are the organisms of concern, sometimes produced by HABs that can produce extremely dangerous cyanotoxins. While algal blooms can often be seen by the naked eye, further testing is required to confirm if it is a HAB by testing for cyanobacteria and cyanotoxins. Industrial contamination. Steam plants. The Coosa River is home to two power plants, Plant Gadsden on Neely Henry Lake and Plant Gaston on Late Lake. These facilities are in various stages of power production, but still contribute massive amounts of pollution into our waterways. Both of these facilities have leaking coal ash ponds. Coal ash is the toxic waste that remains after coal is burned. It contains high concentrations of heavy metals, including mercury, arsenic, selenium, chromium, lead, radium, and other pollutants which are hazardous to human health, wildlife, and our waterways. In humans, these contaminants can cause developmental defects, cancer, and a large range of other illnesses. For decades, utilities have stored coal ash in unlined pits next to rivers and lakes that provide drinking water, recreation, and wildlife habitat. For example, the Plant Gaston coal ash pond on Lay Lake is larger than 12 Bryant-Denny stadiums, and according to the industry's self-reported data, it is leaking cadmium, molybdenum, and arsenic. Additionally, through the burning of fossil fuels, these facilities are permitted to discharge various toxic pollutants into the air, like mercury. If you're interested in learning more about toxins being released into the Coosa, check out the EPA Toxic Release Inventory for more information. PCBs. PCBs were used as an industrial lubricant in heavy machinery and were banned by 1979. They were also used in paints, newspaper adhesives, deep fat fryers, and bread wrappers. What does this have to do with the Coosa? In the 1930s, electrical appliances were growing in popularity across the nation, which also increased the need for PCB manufacturing. In 1935, Monsanto purchased the Swan Chemical Company in Anniston and began commercially manufacturing PCBs for the first time in the United States. During its 40 years of manufacturing, the Monsanto Company, now called Eastman, flushed tens of thousands of pounds of PCBs into nearby creeks, specifically tributaries of Choccolocco Creek and buried in landfills. They produced PCBs at the Anniston plant until 1971, 8 years before PCBs were banned by the federal government. Studies conducted in the late 1970s have provided conclusive evidence that PCBs cause cancer in animals. Studies done on humans strongly suggest PCBs are a probable carcinogen. Additionally, PCB composition changes after it is released into the environment. The types of PCB compounds that bioaccumulate in sediment, fish, and other animals are said to be the most carcinogenic. The health impacts are profound, impacting the endocrine system, neurological system, reproductive system, and immune system. PFAS. Since the 1950s, PFAS have been widely used in manufacturing and are found in many consumer, commercial, and industrial products. Often referred to as forever chemicals, PFAS do not break down over time. Instead, these dangerous chemicals accumulate in people, wildlife, and the environment. As a result, PFAS have been found in surface water, air, soil, food, and many commercial materials. Scientific studies increasingly link these toxic chemicals to serious health conditions such as cancer, liver and kidney disease, reproductive issues, immunodeficiencies, and hormonal disruptions. This is an emerging issue on the Coosa River, and we anticipate updates from state and federal regulatory agencies for drinking water standards and beyond in the coming years. Swim on over to our social media or our website to learn more. So, there's a lot of threats to the lakes, rivers, and streams that we know and love, which is why we want to teach you what to do when you see or smell something fishy. Our state and federal regulatory agencies, either due to a lack of resources or political will, are unable or unwilling to assist in hyper-local pollution issues. We want to teach you what to do when you see or smell something fishy through our See, Snap, Send protocol. See or smell something fishy? Take note of the weather conditions, where you're at, and any other clues that may be helpful. It would be helpful for you to include an address, GPS coordinates, or any other helpful directions to find the issue. Snap. Take photos and videos. This is the most crucial thing you can do to help us figure out what's going on. Send. Send all this information our way by either calling our office at 205-981-6565 or submitting a report at coosariver.org/report-pollution. Note, you can do this anonymously.